is a new American gangsters, 'cause we speak bold, give no fuck about the haters. It can take freedom from a cold dead hands. We're locked in low for the last days, 'cause we're the new American gangsters, ready to die for this land.
Consistent with my real gender.
Ready to die for this land.
Welcome to the Patriot Punkcast, and boy, has it been a busy week. Tonight, we have education expert Tiffany Boyd on the show to discuss all the things that have made it a really hectic week in news. We've got Cock County, Tennessee. That's one of the areas affected by Hurricane Helene, is dealing with the epic failures of working under the government insurance plan sponsored by FEMA. We're going to get into some of the details on that, find out maybe what you can do to support people that are still struggling with that, and find out what the decision that they finally came to was. Plus, Rutherford County Schools was hacked. At least that is what one group is claiming. And they are auctioning off that information for apparently somewhere around $2 million. So if you're looking to get a hold of some student information from Rutherford County, that hacker group might be able to help you. Plus, there are rumors that a special session may be called to deal with the school voucher plan. I think Tiffany's going to have some exciting insight on that. And there's a grocery tax bill. Oh, got my I'm going off. There's a grocery tax cut coming, maybe, that both the Democrats and the Republicans are looking to support. Two different bills have been filed. We're going to break down some of the differences between those and so much more. But before we get started, what I want to do is give a special shout out to our sponsors. The first one of this evening is Mid-TN Kirby. Now, I own this company. I have been in the Kirby business for about 20 years. And they've been around for over 110 years. Now, if you're looking for a carpet shampoo system, anything to clean the tile, grout, hardwood floors, laminate, LVT, area rugs, stairs, whatever it is, this does it. Plus, it will also take care of upholstery. It'll also take care of your mattress, unscrew light bulbs, and I've even seen it wash windows. Ask about their factory rebuild agreement that is good for the lifetime of the original purchaser. And all you have to do is click on the button at the top of the page to preview one today. We believe you have the right to see one work in your home before you decide to make a purchase. That's midtnkirby.com. Schedule your appointment with the Kirby man. And there's even programs where you can get the payments put off probably until tax time. So next is A State of Creative over on Facebook. Make sure you check them out. They specialize in restored furniture. Here we have a beautiful leather sofa that is coming available today if you are a follower of their page, and if you use the promo code Patriot Punkcast, you will get an additional $50 off. They also have all sorts of other stuff. There's another set right there that they just did. They offer free delivery if you're within about 30-minute drive of their location, and they only charge gas money if you need delivery anywhere in Middle Tennessee. That is A State of Creative over on Facebook. And then last but not least, please check out patriotpunknetwork.com. We will be updating the site after the show, and tomorrow we have a very special story coming out over on the news tab right here. If you just click on this right here, right now the top story is obliterated serial numbers and illegal Glock switches, but tomorrow there may be a story about some fraud going on, or alleged fraud going on at a Tennessee college campus. So make sure you check that out. And then afterward, click on the support tab, and there you can become a member by signing up for a recurring contribution. As little as $3 a month gets you special access to our members-only Telegram channel, and a one-time contribution, if you're in a position, helps us fund all of our investigations. So now that that is over with, let me introduce my co-host and good friend, Daniel Wagner. Oh,
Hola. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. How are you?
Just working on my Spanish this week.
Working on your Spanish?
Yeah, hola.
Hola. I think don't we have a Spanish award, the C.O. Jones Award or C.A. Jones Award?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. I
that's-
think it's time we give another one out.
Yeah, I think it is too. We might, if we have time, I think we will give one of those out. I'm excited for tonight's show. I know that her schedule is very, very busy. So why don't we just go ahead and bring her on? If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, let me remind you that after about the first 30 minutes, we're going to knock this stream off. So go ahead and follow us over on Rumble at the Patriot Punk Network. And without any further ado, Miss Tiffany Boyd.
Hello. Thank
How
you
are
for
you?
having me.
It is my pleasure. I think we've known each other for a year or so now. I think the first time we ever really talked was when the homeschool hater audio leaked, and we get along quite well. Some people in Tennessee politics don't necessarily like you. Do you want to give everybody in the audience a little bit of perspective on maybe why?
Sure. Well, I like to say I'm the girl that they love to hate. So I kind of wear that title with a badge of honor. I think one thing that they don't like about myself or the organization, the ministry that we have for your children, is the fact that we are constantly watching and calling them out on their nonsense. So we are fighting consistently as often as we can and doing our due diligence to call them on the carpet when they like to play the games that they like to play. I always say politics be politicking all the time. And so we are constantly fighting for parental rights, constitutional rights, and educational rights in the state of Tennessee. And so I knew some of the topics you wanted to touch on tonight, Chase. And so I have a laptop pulled up over here to the side about some of those topics, because there's so much that goes on in education that it's hard to keep up with it. It's never stagnant. It's always changing. They're always doing something to gain more control and to usurp the rights of parents in the state of Tennessee. Last legislative session, in my opinion, was one of the worst for families in the state of Tennessee, and it's only going to get consistently worse. We spend a lot of time at the Capitol fighting against bills that we don't agree with. But this year, this legislative session, we will actually be there because we have written some legislation that we hope we can get passed this year to give parents even more freedom in the state of Tennessee.
That is actually exactly what I wanted to start off the show with. We're going to get into the special session that's allegedly been called or might be called later on in the show. But I know that you guys are in the process of finalizing some legislation called the Free Act?
Yes, it's called the Free Act. And this particular piece of legislation, if it passes, will give families in Tennessee another legal option to homeschool. But this option,
what are their options right now? Just so that, because a lot of the people that watch the show they probably like the idea of homeschooling, but it's intimidating. So
yeah, I tell people, I think that's the hardest thing for most people, is just making the leap, because it seems overwhelming to them. I like to say it's like eating an elephant one bite at a time. The hardest part, in my opinion, for most families is just making the leap into it. So currently in Tennessee, you have three legal options to homeschool. The first option is you can register through the Board of Education. Ironically, it's called independent homeschooling. It's anything but. It is an option that I never, ever recommend if you are leaving traditional public school because you don't want the government in your business. Independent homeschooling is not the way to go. But a lot of families, when they go into the school and tell the people or the individuals at the school or the school board that they want to start homeschooling, they will advise them to register as independent. But that is not how the majority of homeschoolers in the state of Tennessee register. But that's one legal option. The other legal option is a Category 4 school, and that is the option. It's called an umbrella school. Some people may have heard that terminology before, a church-related school. Most homeschoolers in the state of Tennessee use that option because that's the best option that we currently have. But legally, that option defines homeschoolers as a private school. And we know that that is not true educational autonomy. And so we were, with this bill that we're going to talk about in a minute, that's the specific reason, the biggest reason why we chose to write this piece of legislation. And then the third option is the online accredited schools. For instance, if you chose like Abeka Academy online, and you could use that particular option as well.
I feel like there's a school like that in Gallatin,
Mhm.
Tennessee. That
Mhm.
I think we did a story on some issues that they had there. I just can't think of the name of it, and I don't want to
Right.
slag off the wrong one.
Right.
So you say that umbrella schools are the best option. Why are currently?
That is the option with the most educational autonomy right now, because what happens is if you register under an umbrella option, then the school system is completely out of the picture at that point, and the organization that is making decisions and that you're reporting to would be that private umbrella entity that you choose. And there are hundreds of them in Tennessee. They're not all created equally. So I like to say families need to do their research, because each umbrella school, they come up with their own requirements. And so some have a lot more freedom and flexibility than others. But that is the way that the majority of the most homeschoolers in Tennessee are currently registered, is under that umbrella option. So what happens is that becomes the agency that you, in essence, have to report to. So you send in your grades to them twice a year, your attendance to them, and then they turn that information into the state.
Are there
Whatever information the state requires, they have to report to them.
and are there currently like testing requirements of some sort?
No,
No. Okay.
each umbrella school gets to make their own decision. So if the umbrella school that you choose doesn't require testing, then you don't have to test. But if you choose an umbrella school that has those requirements, then you would have to abide by whatever regulations and rules that particular umbrella school has.
So talking about this FREE Act, which
Mhm.
is this a piece of state legislation or national legislation?
It's a piece of state legislation. So we have a senator that is going to be sponsoring the bill on the Senate side, and then we have a representative who is going to be sponsoring the bill on the House side. So it
What
is
would it do?
actually, say that
Like
again.
what would it actually do?
What the bill will do is it will give families in the state of Tennessee the ability to just say, we're homeschooling, and that's it. They will not be required to register under any government entity. They will have the freedom, just like other states, such as Connecticut has enjoyed for decades, to be able to homeschool their children without government interference. And so we're not taking away, our goal is not to take away the other options if there are families that still want to be, enrolled in an online accredited school, or they want to register as an independent homeschooler, or they want to continue with their umbrella school. They will still have those options, but the FREE Act will give freedom-minded families the ability to exercise their constitutional rights to educate their children as they see fit.
And
So-
how would that? Or go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, one of my many roles here is I try to bring up visuals on the show to kind of detail what you're speaking about. Now, I tried to look up the FREE Act, and I'm concerned about bringing anything up on screen, because I'm also seeing what's called the HB 00, or what was it? Sorry, give me a moment. The
001.
Education Freedom Act of 2025. Is that the same thing as the
No,
FREE
that's
Act?
not. That's actually the governor's voucher bill. So our language right now is in legal and it's being finalized. So our bill hasn't been filed yet. I spent all day Friday actually working, Thursday and Friday, actually working with legal to work on the wording for this particular piece of legislation. So we are expecting the wording on this bill any day now.
Yeah, as far as sorry, just to follow up, as far as those naming conventions, it's really difficult to even know what they mean when it's just the FREE Act. I don't know what that means, just hearing it, but trying to look it up to bring it up to show it as an example presents its own special challenges. So
so I think once again, the audience members here at the Patriot Punk Network are hearing about a story before it's mainstream news. So just like with the Venezuelan gangs that we were talking about before the election, it's one of those, that's one of the perks to following the Patriot Punk Network and watching this show. So in layman's terms, how does this look? If right now they have to report to someone, so do they basically just like hang a sign outside that says I'm homeschooling and they start
No.
doing it, or
They would notify the Department of Education, probably locally in their district, and just notify them that they will be homeschooling, and then that's it. They will not be required to do anything else in terms of government overreach with their homeschooling. Connecticut has pretty much the same structure there in Connecticut, except they don't have all these other options to choose from. They're just free to homeschool. And I have had the pleasure more than once to interview Deborah Stevenson, who founded Inhaled, and she is an attorney, and she helped to legalize homeschooling in the state of Connecticut and have their constitutional rights recognized. And so they were able to maintain a level of freedom that many states don't have, because they fell under this scam of being forced to register as a private school in order to be able to obtain as much educational autonomy as possible. So, because and I think she told me when I interviewed her and her partner that works with her closely in continuing to fight for educational freedom in Connecticut, that they had about 500 families show up and push back on this particular overreach that they never go away. Every single year we are fighting some type of educational overreach in the state of Tennessee. The problem is most people just don't realize it because they're really crafty, how they word things, and they're not transparent. And I know we'll be talking about that as we move through the show, but it's important to know that a lot of states just compromised when they were trying to legalize homeschooling, and they were offered, particular options, and they just went with whatever they were offered at the time to make sure that they could just be able to continue to home educate their children. Because
one of the things that I wanted to talk about is and you're not going to find that either myself or Daniel believe this, at least in mass.
Right.
But the liberals would have you believe that if you enacted a plan like this, then all of a sudden you'd have, the little rednecks would never learn how to read, and Tennessee would just fail, and we would spiral out of control. Now, like I said, there would be certain kids that do that, but have you seen the test scores of our public education system? I think that the benefits of doing that personally could outweigh it. Is it expected to get a lot of support from the establishment? Is it because I know, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, like about the special session, but because of the pushback you guys gave them during the last legislative session, they are more than happy to kind of push y'all away, or it seems that they are. Do you
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, Chase, to really shine a light on our legislators that are truly freedom minded and truly conservative. Because if they push back against this, what that will be saying to the homeschooling population at large and to parents who wish to exercise their constitutional right is that they do not believe in freedom. Homeschooling isn't new. It's been around for a really long time, and we have consistently outperformed the public school children. And we've heard a lot of these arguments. We actually met with a legislator at one point last year who told us, well, if we did something like this, it would be devastating for the state of Tennessee, because if we gave parents this freedom, a 14-year-old homeschool child might come in McDonald's and shoot it up.
We had a discussion with Richard Archie from the Tennessee Firearms Association, and he said that same kind of propaganda was used when they first allowed the open carry of firearms, saying that we were going to have people shooting each other. And ironically, the only places that really happens are the places where they are trying to ban the ownership, like Memphis, of guns. I have a question, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it came to my mind, and I'm going to have to ask it.
Go right ahead.
If what I call trying to think of a family friendly way to put this, the chosen ones were to come to you and say, listen, we will have the entire Republican caucus support your free act if you support the voucher bill.
And are you asking me what I would say?
Is there even a starting point in that negotiation? I mean,
No,
well,
a family
obviously,
friendly.
just asking.
Yeah,
No.
family friendly response.
My family friendly response to that is absolutely not.
Okay. Well, we will get into the specifics on why that is in just a little bit. If people want to keep up with updates on the Free Act before we move into the next topic, where can they do that at? And Daniel, will you check the comments to see if anyone has specific questions before we move on?
Yep.
I would highly encourage anyone that would like more information on the Free Act and to keep up with developments as that bill gets filed and then hopefully moves into, the different committees. Go to freeyourchildren.com. That's one place they can find us. Also sign up for our newsletter. We've just launched a newsletter as well. And you can send me an email at freeyourchildren@gmail.com. And send, that way I have your contact information. You can put in your email over on the website. I think you have it up on the screen. Again, that's freeyourchildren.com. And we will be putting out information weekly as we move into the session, maybe even more often than that, about different initiatives, this bill, the voucher bill. There are already some pieces of legislation, other pieces of legislation we're concerned with that looks like it's going to be ran this legislative session. So all of our updates will be in all of those places. We're on all the social media platforms. We're on Facebook, X, Rumble, YouTube. Of course, we have the newsletter. So, we're around everywhere, Telegram, and then they can just reach out and we will answer whatever questions they have to the best of our ability.
And just one last detail here. Don't Google search Free Act because it's not working.
Yeah. It won't come up yet because the bill hasn't been filed.
On that note, if you guys go to her website and you want to help, maybe, throw them a little bit of coin for the Google Analytics because they're going to need it to combat the millions of dollars.
Even competing with the tn.gov website, because what comes up is the TDOE highlights free ACT retake opportunities, and that was October 8th of 2024. So that would also come up.
Yep. We do have a question here from Whispers Above. Huge transparency issues with Tennessee schooling for sure. I'm sure you've covered that a lot on your show, but this is a good time to shamelessly plug the story we have coming out tomorrow, because there's definitely some transparency issues, especially on where you're sending your kids to college, something we should all be a little bit more aware of. So that'll be coming out tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you check out the page. I guess the next thing that we really want to discuss is, I think, Cock County. Okay. And this will be the last thing we discuss before we hop off on Facebook. So if you're watching over there, smash the like button and share it, but then go ahead and hop on over to Rumble where you can be interactive in the comments with us. Cock County, Tennessee is one of those counties that was affected severely by the flooding during Hurricane Helene. Now, Daniel, I know you went out there and delivered supplies. How long after the hurricane did you guys go out there?
We went out there probably 3 weeks after the initial devastation happened, and it was still looked like a damn bomb hit the area. It was incredible to see, and I mean incredible in the worst kind of way. I just don't think any kind of video or pictures that I've seen to date really capture what is going on down there. We're actually set to deliver some additional supplies coming up the 18th in 3 days. This time we're supplying, this is through our Convoy to Save America efforts. We're getting ready to go down there again to bring some other materials, building supplies, propane tanks, heating supplies, things to help them get through the winter, because there's a lot of people still living down there in tents on their properties because they're afraid that if they leave the property, the U.S. government's going to come in and just take over. And I kind of share their concern. So we're trying to help them out in any which way we can on that.
I'm sure you've seen some of the videos and everything. We have a story that I actually found this on Twitter, which I'm telling you guys, you need to go over there because it is the best place to find organic source news. Can you bring that little video up? I think that video it's got captions to it. I think we it really highlights what's going on. It shows, yeah, I think this is it. Let's see.
First stop, ugly.
Well, I'll explain
sweater
what's going to happen
party.
because that's an ad. I don't really want to watch the ad. So just you can keep playing it, I guess, on quiet, and we'll.
It is complicated.
There it
It
goes.
is expensive. Some of the flood victims in Cott County are having to find that out the hard way. Tonight, the county called a special meeting after discovering that many aren't in compliance. Some may have to stop their repairs. Sam Luther was at that meeting tonight. Sam, tell us what you learned. And again, folks, complicated. You're going to have some patience to find out all about this.
Yeah, Ted, well, we learned really there's no everybody wins scenario in this. County leaders tonight admitting that they needed to notify people quicker about this policy. We're now learning it'll likely be costly either way that the county commission votes.
I mean, people here can't afford this. This is one of the poorest counties in the state of Tennessee.
In a county devastated from a flood, every dollar counts. More than 2 months after Hurricane Helene hit.
I do want to mention on this, one of the main issues that I was kept being told when we were looking at the devastation down, we went to Ewing, Tennessee, and he said that the river itself completely moved. Like it's not even in the same place as it was. Now this particular one looks like it's still the same, but the entire river moved. It was ridiculous.
Well, so real quick, bring up. There's another video. I just sent it in the private chat. Okay, bring that one up because they've got a spokesperson that's going through and explaining the situation that they were kind of faced with.
People are building or rebuilding what they call floodplains or floodways, areas essentially where that flooding can happen. Now, this concern from emergency officials raising the alarm for Cott County, trying to figure out if they want to keep the current plan.
Cott County, COC.
It's a situation almost putting Cott County between a rock and a hard place.
It's turned into more of a complicated event than what I think we imagined we would ever be facing.
People were trying to rebuild in certain areas before getting approval from FEMA. Cott County's property assessor says that now has leaders questioning if the county should keep the National Flood Insurance Plan. It's had it since 1988.
And it kind of raised some...
couple of things. Why is FEMA still having to approve building thing? I mean, like, I understand if they haven't cleared the area, but this happened September 27th. It's been almost 3 months.
Well,
and people are still waiting.
FEMA's supposed to come in and basically say whether or not they're going to release funding for specific project ABC or whatever. And a lot of people have, before FEMA even had a chance to come in and assess it and say, yeah, we'll cover that. They've already started rebuilding, and it's causing the complications, and it doesn't make any sense because obviously your entire life's destroyed. You would want to come in and fix stuff. You should be able to go off I'm sure these people have videos and pictures. It's good enough for an insurance agency that they can just look at pictures you send in. I don't understand why FEMA needs to see the thing still in devastation to make an assessment.
One of the other things that I've heard is coming out of this, and this is you've got the slow 3-month task. So people are still going to be out in Foreverland. But they're waiting on people because if you're in a floodplain, even though it's like a 500-year or whatever it is flood, you should build your house back better. And a lot of the people were planning to, different foundations, things like that. But some of them, because they didn't get approval, even if they were going to do it correctly, because they didn't get approval, they're now having to take everything down. If they don't, then basically what happens is the National Flood Insurance Plan is not going to cover it. They're not going to get any money. Well, the county or the town was forced into the position of making some of its residents tear the houses that they've already built down, maybe never get a chance to rebuild them there or have to build them better or the exact same as they were already building them, or force everyone else's in town or almost everyone else in town's flood insurance to increase through their private market, even people who weren't affected in this flood. And it becomes, I really think it shows a real catch-22 of relying on government funding. Because they have this, they opted to sign into this in 1988, expecting it to help. I don't know if they've actually used much of it since then, maybe in small areas, but I'm sure this is the largest flood that they've had in a while. So when you really, really need it, much like most insurance plans, it's not going to cover what you need. And I feel like this is a perfect example of what happens anytime the government says that they're here to help.
Yeah. I laugh out of just sheer, it's just, yeah, they do nothing but screw things up. Everything they touch turns to absolute garbage.
Yeah. And I imagine that if there's schools that are affected out there, aren't they? I should imagine that they're perfectly fine with allowing those kids who have been displaced or the schools to either migrate districts or to homeschool. And they've probably created special exceptions. And that's just one of the things I can't stand about all these government regulations is they're not just rules for me, but not for thee. They're rules that we have to pass and punish people for breaking unless we decide that it's okay to break it. It's like remember COVID when they allowed you to go pick up margaritas? You have not been able to have an open container or anything like that in your car forever, but COVID, so margaritas.
So here's an interesting map here. There was a link that allows us to look at FEMA's flood maps, and the insurance companies are coming in and saying, hey, listen, you guys are already started building, and according to FEMA, this is the new floodplain. Let's ignore the fact that this is like a once in a lifetime flood event that probably won't happen again for the not too distant future. But now we want you guys to go ahead and build off there. So for some reason, I assume the insurance are beholden to these FEMA floodplain maps. So that's what they go off of to make their determination whether or not they can build in certain areas. And it just seems like there's a lot of power taken away from the insurance companies in that particular scenario. I'm not sure how it works exactly. I'm just spitballing, but it just seems kind of very limiting and kind of messed up that I don't think a free market insurance company would operate this way.
Yeah, they would probably, a free market insurance company would allow for some people to individually disregard that insurance thing and disregard certain things and not make it where the decision the town's faced it with is, well, we have to drop it for the entire county.
Yeah.
So,
or they would be like, hey, yes, you can build there, but it needs to be these materials, needs to be built under this standard. There would be so many different options that homeowners could look at and make a determination on their own what level of risk they're willing to take. But no, it's just kind of like this blanket one size fits all, and everybody's got to move now, and it makes it extra complicated in an attempt to try to make it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people couldn't get the $750 chance or check. So what chance do they have? That's from English Rob. So, Tiffany, do you have any thoughts, or is this just more of the same from the government?
It's more of the same, but I chuckled when he said everything they touch, it just is a disaster. And I agree with that. I like to say they never let what is it that they say? Never let a disaster or
go to waste.
Yeah, go to waste. And, oftentimes they like to pretend that they're coming in with a solution, but really what they're doing is creating more issues. And then it just creates more red tape. And then, the people wind up being the casualties of all of this. The fact that we still have people there in tents with winter, right here on the doorstep is just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Go to waste turns to crap. I'm noticing a theme developing here.
Yeah.
That's right.
I remember seeing a story, and I don't know exactly what county it was in. It might have even been in North Carolina, but there was some people that were waiting on a road to be rebuilt, and the government said, hey, it's going to be a couple of months before we can start that project. And like 6 rednecks with pickup trucks and a couple of skid loaders and a concrete truck basically fixed the road in 2 days.
I saw
and they
that.
had it back up and running. And I really think that, not that don't want people to get the money that they think they have coming to them, but I don't know why we have to send money over there to come back to us later on, while the bureaucracy just feeds off of it. So
yeah, when we were down there, one of the fellows that was touring us around and showing us the devastation, he was talking about how he came up trying to do some stuff, and these FEMA employees, these government agencies, they're trying to tell him, no, you can't come here. You turn back, don't go. He's like, yeah, okay, just try and stop me. So he goes in anyway, because they know damn well that if they do try to stop him, it's not going to be but a few minutes before he's collected all of his buddies and they get on their four-wheelers and they're just going to make them move one way or another. They're getting in there and they're doing what they need to do to help support their families.
Yeah. All you have to do is drive down I-24 to know that the government roads are not everything that they promise you. We are going to go ahead and drop off of YouTube and Facebook. So if you are watching on those platforms, we really, really appreciate it. Be sure to check out our website, but jump on over to Rumble because things are going to get a little bit more spicy. We're going to talk about some updates on Senator Ken Yeager and a few